Hi all, this is Scott Elzey, and this is my theories of personality and counseling final presentation. Um, so I'm going to be looking at my theoretical orientation. Um, the process of finding my theoretical orientation is it's very much still in progress. Um, what I did for this is I looked at different areas that impact this decision. And those are basically what my worldview is. I'm a Christian, and that impacts how I see the world and how I see people. Um, Counselor personality, so basically kind of intrinsic qualities or negatives that I have just as a person that impact this decision. The population that I would like to work with is definitely part of this process, and then just different counseling theories that I connected with, or didn't connect with, for that matter. Like I said, there's still a lot of uncertainty here for me. I'm still very much in progress of and in process of figuring this out, and finding what I connect with, what I don't connect with. That said, I am leaning towards cognitive behavioral therapy and an integrative/postmodern approach. So starting with worldview, there's a few different questions that I had to look at. Am I going to be a Christian who is a counselor or a Christian counselor? And this is one of those that I'm still kind of jury's still out on this for me. I think I'm leaning towards being a Christian counselor, but I'm still kind of watching, learning, and trying to uh, grow as during this process and figure out what is going to be the best fit. And the reason I say I'm leaning towards being a Christian counselor is mostly because I think that would provide the most meaning to me. And for me, I've learned I need my job to be meaningful. If it's not meaningful, I'm not going to be good at it. So that's kind of a big deal. And for me, I think I'd like to integrate scripture and prayer and all, any of that into and basically just at least the worldview into the counseling process. Um, that said, I do also hold to a holistic view of human beings. In other words, that if I help one area of humans, if I help, my client get better with their mental health, then I'm also helping their whole being, not just the mental health, but essentially enabling them to be maybe more in tune spiritually or get healthier physically. It's all kind of connected. So that's how I'm viewing it there. The Christian view of human nature is another big part of this. I believe that people were made in God's image, that we are created beings for a purpose. Purpose being to glorify God with our actions and our words and our thoughts. So I also believe that the fall of man brought sin and sickness into this world. And that's going to be the differences between sin and sickness will be a continued learning experience for me, I think. What is mental health? What is just wrongdoing? What is sin? Addiction is a pretty is one of those that's kind of on that fine line between the two. So yeah, there's a lot there to look into. Another belief: people are broken but needing restoration, restoration to God, and the way out for people is through Jesus Christ. However, I also believe that God has placed, in the same way that doctors have been put in this world to help us with physical health things, I think counselors can help with mental health and other, even spiritual stuff. So I do also believe that humans have a natural need for God. We are not complete or whole or healthy without Christ. Aspects of my personality that went into this decision, or these theoretical choices here. I'm much more of a listener and collaborator than I am kind of a teacher or expert. I don't like getting up in front of people and teaching. So if I'm leading a group with counseling, I'm much more of a discussion facilitator. I'm not getting up and speaking to the crowd or something. In the same way, in a one-on-one session, I don't really like being seen as the authority. I like having a conversation. It's much more egalitarian in a sense. So that does impact some of the models that I was looking at. I'm more of an encourager. Well, I'm a little bit of both on this one, encourager versus problem solver. And by that I mean encouraging them to help solve their own problems versus me providing answers. So again, that's kind of that listener collaborator versus teacher expert idea. I'm very calming. I can create rapport with my clients very quickly, and less challenging. I do it some, and it's actually probably something I just need to get better at, rather than something I'm just not into. But at this time, that's where I'm at. I'm very non-judgmental. I think that's a good thing. I'm trying to keep that way. And finally, I desire to see lasting change in my clients. That's a huge thing. I think most of us in the counseling field agree with that. The population I'd like to work with is people struggling with addiction. That's currently what I'm doing, but I would like to expand my range of practice to working with people with depression, anxiety, fear issues, marriage and family therapy, and maybe youth. That one I'm uncertain on. I had some rough times with addicted youth. That was one of the toughest populations I've had to work with. And so I don't know if how willing I am to enter that arena again, but it's definitely something I'm considering. So to my chosen theoretical approaches, I did inventories for each of these. The integrative approach, or the postmodern approach, scored very highly on, 83. And actually my second highest was cognitive behavioral therapy with a 76. I did like both of these theories, so it's not just the score that I'm going on. So why cognitive behavior therapy? Basically, I really connected to the theory, just kind of mentally and spiritually. I really like the idea of changing our behaviors and via our thoughts about things. I use it currently in my work. So it's something I'm already kind of starting to dabble with, although I really want to get better at it. It is very effective with addiction counseling. It was actually kind of created to help prevent relapse. So people who had some clean time, who are struggling to stay clean. So now the postmodern or integrative approach, I really liked. I really very much felt connected to the theory again. It's kind of, and what I discovered is I didn't really know it, but I was naturally using it in my current practice. Very much, I just really appreciated the theory and how it kind of used a bunch of different, bits and pieces of other theories. So I really enjoyed that. Now, and then finally, watching Alan Ivy's developmental counseling and therapy video was really interesting. I really appreciated just his kind of three main focuses just that he said in that video. The focus on direction. Where are we going in this session? What's the point of it? And like, what's the hope? You know, what are we hoping will come out of this? That's something I do with my clients already. You know, when they come in for a drug and alcohol assessment, why are you here? What are you wanting out of this? What's your hope? So I think that tells us a lot about a person. So just starting there so that we, you know, once you know where you're trying to get to, it's easier to get there. If you don't know where you're going, you ain't gonna get there. So the second thing, I really like the focus on solutions and less so on problems. The idea that if we're solution focused, it's less kind of browbeating the client. It's less focus on the negatives, which it's easy to develop shame and guilt, and which becomes its own issue. So yeah, I think the solution-focused approach is much better. And the focus on strengths versus weaknesses. The strengths, you know, once you know what they're good at and what they have to aid them, you can use those and they can use those to work on their weaknesses. And so I just really like that approach and very much want to learn more about that. Finally, here are my references. Thanks for listening, guys, and hope you all made it through yours. All right, take care.